What's up, folks? Welcome. Remember, it's Thursday. That means it's the GBD Thursday Clinic. It's your favorite place to be every week. It's my favorite place to be every week. Is it your favorite place to be every week, Dr. Amsi?
Almost.
What's better than this, man? This is better than sex.
Name a few things.
This is better than sex, man. I know you were going to go there.
So
let me just go there for you.
I wasn't going to go to the sex thing.
So it's not better than sex then?
No, I was actually thinking about worship. Place of worship.
Goodness gracious. You know, you're such a suck up. Listen, everyone out there who's got any kind of religious leanings, this man is a suck up. How's everyone doing today? Can we unmute some cameras? Can we see who we're talking to? I'm seeing just squares of names, and we refuse anonymity on this show. There you go. So I see we can wave people. I want to wave. When I wave, I know people are waving back at us. You know what I mean? So anyway, welcome guys. It's Thursday. It's the Thursday Clinic, GBD Thursday Clinic. It's the place where you guys get to ask questions to Dr. Amsu on my left, yours truly, Mr. Breaks, and of course, Dr. Keeler, Coach Aggie, and anyone else that wants to speak up on the behalf of the good people of these here United States of America and England and Jamaica and Barbados and New Zealand and Nigeria, whoever is, wherever you are in the world. Again, welcome to the show. If it's your first time on here and you have a question, you can let us know in the chat, or you can raise your hand in the app. At the bottom of the app, there's a participation button. Click on that. You can raise your hand so we know that you have a question. Or again, if you're a little bit shy like I am, you can let us know in the chat. If you want to remain anonymous, you're in the wrong place. I'm joking. If you have an anonymous question, just tell me it's anonymous and I won't say your name. You can message me directly. You can message Electric Docs directly on the low in the DM, and then we'll deal with you that way around. So listen, we're waiting for everyone to unmute the cameras, waiting for female people to join. And in the meantime, how do you like our office, our new office? We decided to go upstairs to the penthouse. Next week, you might be somewhere else. Let us know how you feel about our office. Put the ones in the comments.
I actually want to see. I want to go Kevin Samuels on everybody, where we refuse to talk
until everyone unmutes their camera.
Unless everybody unmutes their camera.
I'm just going to sit here and drink my coconut water.
Because we look at black squares and it's not the flex. It's not nice.
Who's that unmuting their camera and they're in the dark room? They're in the closet. You know we're not going to see you. Let me see who that. Let me expose who that is.
No, that's cool. I can even understand that.
That's for
sure.
You
know what? I'm in a dark space.
I'm traveling until I settle.
Oh, you're traveling. Dr. Keeler's traveling. No, that's...
Everyone's got an excuse, Dr. Keeler. Everyone's got an
excuse. Well, listen, guys. So let us know how you feel about our new office. If you like it or not. If you don't, we're gonna go and buy a whole new place for next week. That's how no expense spared for the good people.
We did this for y'all.
Y'all. Y'_ALL. So what's good? So listen, I want to say thanks to everyone that's asked questions on the email. We like to know who's getting the emails. If you're reading the emails, if you hate the emails, can we change the colors? Whatever it is, let us know. Give us some feedback. We get all your questions, but we also like to hear from you guys as to what you like, what you don't like, so we can not waste our time doing stuff you don't like and then do more of the things you do like. Does that make sense? Of course it does. I think it makes sense to me. We are all about serving you guys. Absolutely.
You actually sounded like
Who do I sound like?
The vice president
of
United States.
Six Flags. Oh, United States, even bigger.
Kamala Harris, when she repeats her words and she goes nowhere, but she's just saying the same stuff over and over again.
I would make a better VP than Kamala Harris, I think.
I'd vote for you.
You should. I think everyone should vote. I think maybe I should go into politics. I think I'd make more money than I'm doing now. That's for damn sure.
I mean, you'd make a good vice president to my president. You understand what I'm saying? You'd be a great number 2.
Right. So anyway, after that little section of madness, Dr. Amster, what else is going on with you? No politics, no religion. What's good?
It's always politics and religion and everything that involves our lives into a way of living where we're not living up to our best standards. And politics and religion plays an important role in that. A lot of people who are sick because of tradition and what they thought was stuff that's good for them, that they either put in, on, or have around their bodies, and who you've been marketed to, because politics is marketing basically, right? You're marketed to put somebody in office who's supposed to represent your best interest, and laws and things are supposed to be to protect you, not to protect property. Property is the ownership of the people, right? So we the people are supposed to be protected, not the property. Yes, our properties should be policies and laws in place that ensures that our properties are protected. But right now, the property that's being protected is the property of the industries, right? Of the big tech, big pharma. And we, the people, have been reduced to minions. And this is one thing that everybody should realize. And this is pertinent, right? This is actually pertinent to healthcare, right? People have always been poor up until around 150 years ago, and maybe even less than that. The minions, the citizens, the subjects of every society or empire that's existed have always been paupers and have had no say. It's only in recent time, due to Western idealisms, that your general population, have actually been given any kind or I would say given rights, even though rights are supposed to be inalienable and you're not supposed to be able to grant somebody rights, but common folk had no rights. So we live in a time where it was given and now it's being taken away. We had a taste of the honey. And what we do here at Great Black Detox Electric Food is we are trying to preserve and maintain your rights to health, to optimum health.
Very well said.
So that's my soapbox moment.
Thank you. Got it off your chest. That's great. How do the rest of you feel about that? No, I don't want to hear about that. But no, you're absolutely right. And, the more of that we give up, the more of that we give away, the less time and effort and focus we have on those types of things around us, the more we allow ourselves to be marketed to, as you said, to be cajoled, corralled, and manipulated into doing what other people want. And they tend generally not, and I say they, I've said the they word a few times, but I think you know who I'm talking about. They don't have our health or our futures or our well-being in mind. They don't do it, for our benefit. So we have to really take charge of our own health, take charge of our own lives. And our health is absolutely the place we need to start. Our health, our financial, and when I say health, I'm considering physical, emotional, psychological, all of that to me rolls up into one. And I'd love to have a conversation one day with the smart people who are on this call about financial well-being. Because a lot of people who are suffering stress because of financial and relationship issues really exacerbates their physical issues. As we know, we talk about, the excessive release of cortisol, Dr. Amsu, from stress and what that does with insulin in the blood and all the rest of it. A lot of people, Dr. Amsu, you can break this down for me. I'm going to ask the first question. Is it true, Dr. Amsu, that, a lot of people who are overweight because of excess in certain hormones, because of stress hormones exacerbating certain conditions? Or is it just food?
Okay, so food plays a major part of it, right? There's also the toxins that get in, not via the digestive tract, right? Mm-hmm. But what gets into your bloodstream through what you're putting on your skin, what you're breathing in, right? Now, those substances start to make your endocrine system, your hormones, act in a dysfunctional way. Now, when your hormones are impacted, so are pathways, functional pathways that are carried out by your immune system, right? Mm-hmm. By your digestive system, by your skeletal system, by your muscular system, by your central nervous system, by your, how you excrete toxins. Excretory system, right? These are all following signals and commands and initiation through your endocrine or your hormonal system, right? So when there's a dysfunction, when these pathways are disrupted, it turns out that you end up with autoimmune issues. And a lot of problems, most illnesses are caused by immune responses, by inflammation. It's inflammatory. It's an immune dysfunction. And when that becomes chronic, now we're dealing with autoimmune, right? So what you put into your body, what you put on your body, and what you have around your body, and also the relationships that you are in, the environments that you are in, because environment doesn't have to be chemical, right? It can be mental.
Exactly.
Right? So if you're in a toxic environment, meaning someone's always shouting at you or somebody's provoking you to a point where you're ready to kick off, right? We're about to snap off, as they say, right? Or it's uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable. And here's the thing, right? We as black people, we go to work in corporate America or corporate wherever you are, and these are not natural environments for us. We have to change the way how we act, how we behave in those environments, because they are racist. And here's what I mean. I don't mean that you're going in there calling you nignog or nigger or coon or whatever, right? All the derogatory names. Policies are put into place, which means that how we wear our hair, for instance, right? How we joke, how we laugh, how we express ourselves, we have to tone it down. We cannot be ourselves. And that puts us under stress. That releases certain chemicals, right? We start to excrete certain hormones that need not be in place, that need not be initiated, because we're acting outside of ourselves. So as policies start to remove these systemic racist policies, right? Mm-hmm. As they are being removed, right? And here's the thing: stress is back, because now you got the alphabet army on your back to top everything else off. Now there's everything you say. Now you got people talking to you about you're not using the correct gender.
Right.
So you're so afraid of
pronouns.
Talking, the pronouns, all that stuff. You're afraid of actually expressing yourself at all. So you got people go to work and they keep their head down. But keeping your head down, that basically you're inhibiting expression of your own DNA. So that causes issues with inflammation. That causes issues, so all the diseases that we get, all these chronic inflammatory diseases, outside of the food and the ingestion of toxins, there's environment, the actual setting, is there a correct ambience, right? The vibe, the feng shui, is it there for our best, for us to produce the best we can be? All these things, this is the holistic health approach that we deal with. So working environment, the environment that you're in, a lot of women who are at home, let's just say with 3-4 children, and these children are screaming all day, sound can also stress you out.
I was telling you, I got a friend who used to work at Walmart. Did I mention this? And she had no idea how stressful the job was going to be. Not because of anything in particular, other than the sound the checkout made every time you swiped a product. Because every time you swipe, it go, doot, 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 doot. She said she had no idea, but after a few hours, she was going crazy.
Chinese water.
Found out that so many cashiers leave Walmart because that sound drives them crazy. And you've all heard the expression going postal, right? Where people working postal sorting offices, they're just constantly all day just sorting letters for hours, just constantly sorting letters. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of noises. These repetitive injuries, like almost, is Chinese water torture, death by 1,000 cuts. Those environments are very hard. They have an extremely high staff turnover because the environment, sitting there and working, hearing that beeping all the time or doing the same mundane task over and over and over again can literally drive you batty. right? And so these are all the things we consider when we look at holistic medicine, holistic lifestyles. We talk about this quite often, is that a lot of us have to consider our environment when it comes to our health, right? And we have to consider even moving away from whichever town we live in, right? Moving to a new city, moving to a new place, getting rid of that significant other who's living in the house and driving us potty, because society's changed. And we can argue that society's changed for the worse because we don't have the nuclear family. I read an interesting stat the other day that there are more black children growing up in 2-parent homes now than there have been in the last 30 years. Can you believe that, right? It's an amazing thing. But importantly as well is that...
You read that stat for the United States?
United States of America. I'll try and pull it, but it came up in my thing.
Anyway, like to see that, because that
you have to understand.
It makes zero sense.
Well, okay. You see, sometimes a lot of things we see, we have the visceral response to what we think is going on, but the actual data, that's why we always need the data. And again, I'll be tasked to go and pull that up. Right. But the point I was making wasn't even that, is that the environment in which we live, we often believe that we're not forced or coerced to stay in those environments because of other social conditioning, other mores and stuff like that, right? But if they're not conducive to us, we need to get out, because no one is going to make you better. No one is going to account for your sickness. When you're sick and dying because of stress-related illnesses, you've got fibroids, you've got high blood pressure, you've got, as we say, the stress exacerbates whatever situation is going on with the endocrine system. That person that you don't like, that situation that you don't like, that job that you don't like, isn't going to account for your sickness. They're not going to help you get any better. It's now down to you. You have to change your situation. Okay? There are very few career jobs now where you've trained to do that job and there's nothing else you can do, right? There's no other department you can go to. There's no other company you can go and work for. The world has changed now. People are transitioning. What's the percentage of people that are working in the field that they studied in? It's pretty low, isn't it? Like under 25% or something that people work in the field they studied at college to be in, because they found something that suited them better, or they fell into something. A lot of us fall into careers, don't we? We say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this and that. You get out of college, the first job you get was working in, I won't say McDonald's, but some restaurant or selling cars or something. You never consider yourself doing that. 20 years later, you're now, the leading sales rep at some Ford dealership. That is life. But if you enjoy that and you don't, derive too much stress from that, that is better for you than you staying in a job that quote unquote pays you well, but that you hate. And the stress is killing you and you don't sleep and you get all kinds of breakouts and you've got gout and you've got, all these other stress related illnesses because of money or status. A lot of people want to stay in a job or in a situation because of the status that comes with staying in that situation. But your health should be the number one status you own.
Yeah.
Better than any gold chain, any sports car, any nice zip code. Because there are people living in really nice zip codes that have stage 3, 4, and 5 illnesses, right? But they live in really nice houses. There are people that are living in subsistence housing that are having the time of their lives, right? And I envy some of those people. They don't have anything, but they're happy. Because somehow, by accident or by choice, they've mastered the psychology.
Check this out.
Go ahead.
I don't care how much any kind of job would pay me. I would never move to Alaska.
You see,
I don't think I would even live in Canada.
We've got to talk about that.
I don't think I could even do that. Now, black people, listen, coming closer, black people, right? We were made for tropical environments, right? But what do? We move away from the tropical environments for work, and then we stay there, right? So I can understand people migrating because they got family back home, and it's like, I'm going to support you. I'm sacrificing myself for you. But what do? We move up north, and then we send for everybody else. Yeah, up here, the streets are paved with gold. And then everybody's diabetic. Everybody's high blood pressure. Everybody's vitamin D deficient, right? And all the issues that come with that. So we move out of the sun to find these careers because, again, we've been marketed to by the same people that made us slaves. And they make us slaves to their system, right? Think about this. CEOs, right? Or company owners or whoever, higher management, the gap between the wage gap right now is what? 500% at minimum, sometimes 3,000%. They're earning 3,000% more than their general staff. Where, you know, in the 50s and 60s, it might have been 80% more, right? 80% more. Now it's 3,000 plus more because they've figured out how to turn people back into slaves where you're getting peanuts. And no matter how stressful the environment is, you know, there are unions and they're starting to destroy unions through certain laws. You know, the oligarchs are lobbying government in their own favor. And these are the things that the founding fathers of the United States of America were trying to protect, were the people's rights. The people's rights. And slowly but surely, whether they're in the guise of Democrats or Republicans or whoever else, right? Slowly rights have been diminished and power has been turned back over into industry, into these, oligarchs. The top 1%, and it's not even, it's less than 1%. 1% is just the closest percentile to be given. But a few people are making all the money. We just went through a whole transfer of wealth. Not an exchange of wealth, but a whole transfer where how many people during the pandemic lost their jobs, were made broke, the middle class fell right out, right? We just got over the housing crisis of 2006, 7 and 8, right? We're right back in it again. And these are the things that we can't talk about health without dealing with the stress factor and those factors that cause that stress, that cause us to move to environments where they're not conducive to our best health. We're supposed to be in tropics, people. We're supposed to be where the sun is at. We're not supposed to just get 2-3 months of sun and then 9 months of rain, sleet, and snow. We're not supposed to live in those environments. You know, we're supposed to constantly be getting fed vitamin D, constantly. We need it more than everybody else.
There you go. Okay, so listen, guys. I think we're warmed up now. We don't have any questions on the screen. I haven't gone to the YouTube. I know the IG is down right now, but I want to go very quickly to some questions we had by email. Let me pick out some low-hanging fruit. So, okay, Janita asked, okay, this is more admin question. If I order the Great Black Detox, do the supplements come with it? I love that question. That is my favorite question. That is question of the month. If I order the Great Black Detox, do the supplements come with it? So the honest answer is yes. But the funny thing is we normally get the other question. If I order the Great Black Detox, do I get the manuals and the meal plans and all the rest of it? So it's yes. Any of our detoxes that you purchase, primarily you get the supplements. But with the supplements, depending on which detox it is, typically you will get an instruction manual to go with that. So if you get the GBD 14, the 14-day liquid fast. Right, I was just going to talk through them and make it sound kind of cool. You get the 14-day manual with that. If you get the athlete detox, you get the athlete detox manual with that. Likewise with the fibro detox. With the fibro detox, you'll probably get, you'll get the Got Fibros, you get the book, either in hard copy or the ebook, as well as the meal plans, as well as the transition meal plans. So yes, and you get access to the app as well, and any other goodies, things you put in the goodie bag. So yes, when you buy our detoxes, you get a whole bunch of clobber with it, all the instructions and meal plans and such like, as well as access to the Qigong videos. When you buy single supplements, depending which supplement it is, you may get a manual with that, but typically the instructions are in your receipt and on the website. So Janita, absolutely, you will get the supplements with the order. Now, Dr. Archie is asking, should I do a detox before doing the fibro detox? And typically what people are asking is, should they do a 14 or a 7 before they go into fibros? And we typically tell them,
typically say it's a good idea because, you know, to cut food out, and we're talking about the 14 here, to abstain from eating is a great way to start, because it's the first stage in healing. So you're ridding your body of excess toxins and balancing your microbiome, your gut microbiome, so that absorption of nutrients is unimpeded, right? So yes, you can, 3 of the supplements that you get in the 14 are in the fibroid detox. The only one that you would have to get separate would be Eliminate, right? Or you can get the Great Black Fibroid Detox and add Cloringa, and then send us a request so that you can get the manuals for the 14. So either you get the 14 and add Eliminate, and then request the materials for the Great Black Fibroid Detox, or our preference is that you get the Great Black Fibroid Detox and get Cloringa, and we'll send you the instruction manuals for the 14.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Dr. Amsey. And I think she had a third question. This one will send you a link. So she asked, where can I get information on detoxifying my house, right? So removing the chemicals, harsh chemicals, all of the seepage, bleach, and all the rest of it from your house. We will send you a link. So I'll respond to that email. I believe that came from, that's Janita as well. So Janita, we'll send you an email with a link so we can go and have a consult with Coach Aggie, and she'll tell you, all about that and ask what you're using now and what, what's critical and what you need to move out. But absolutely, we talk often on the show about the endocrine disrupting chemicals that we have all around us, right? Interesting thing, you guys probably all know about this already, low level or low lying ozone, right? So ozone, even though it's great in the atmosphere, protects the earth from, the harsh rays of the sun. At low level, it's very toxic. Can anyone guess where we get a lot of low level or low lying ozone from? No, I'll tell you. From car emissions, from fossil fuel, from burning. So, and guess when it's highest? In low gear. So when you're sitting in traffic, and that's why, Dr. Amsu, the cities and towns that have the most traffic jams and all the rest of it, why they have so much of that low-lying ozones, because cars are typically sitting in first and second gear idling. And that's when they're the most toxic. And you'll see this, if you ever see a car take off, if you ever see like smoke coming out the exhaust pipe, it's usually when they're taking off. Once they're going, they're running pretty lean. And it's those places where they have the traffic engines on, thousands and thousands of cars sitting at lights, sitting in, traffic jams, on motorways, on roadways, in neighborhoods where you see the most of these low-level ozone-related illnesses is because cars aren't flowing by. They're sitting in low gear, burning fossil fuel. So I don't know why that came up, but I just thought I'd share that. There's a reason why I share that. Oh, we were talking about chemicals in the home. So those types of chemicals. So, you sit in traffic on the way to work, and then you sit in your office, and then, they clean these offices with all kinds of bleach. I don't want to tell you what they do in hotels. If you guys have stayed in a hotel before, they often wash the cups and everything in the sink, right? They don't take the stuff down to the, kitchen to wash them. They wash everything in the hotel in the room. They pat down the beds. There was a report done, the most toxic thing in a hotel is the remote control, which is why they encourage people to go to a hotel and take a sandwich bag to put the remote control inside a sandwich bag, because typically the dirtiest thing in a hotel room is the remote control. But guess what? It's the dirtiest thing in our house. You see, we're very used to our home, so we believe that everything in our house is we're used to it and it's used to us. And so these are our germs. I've heard that being told before. Germs are germs, right? And kids are out playing, they come home, they grab the remote control, they open the fridge. They did what's that, infrared? They came in and put the scanner over all the appliances in the house. And the dirtiest places in the house, the door handles, right, not just the front door, but the fridge door handles, the microwave door handles, bathroom faucets, toilet seat,
right,
things that you touch because you're at home
in the toilet.
Exactly, things we take for granted. But anyway, and then on top of that, you have the chemicals and bleaches that we put under our sink. And here's the funny thing: most people keep their harsh chemicals under the sink, the kitchen sink where you wash your plates, right next to the cooker. And some people, they may have it above the microwave in that. So very close to where we eat and where we bathe are these harsh chemicals. Do you see what I mean? So anyway, I'm going on a soapbox there, but Janita, we'll send you a link so you can find out, book something there. What we will do, we're going to jump to your question in the Zoom, and then I'll come back to the ones to the email. So Floyd, we can't see you, Floyd. I saw your hand up, so I said I'll go to you. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but I know you're going to unmute your camera right now. There you go. What's up, Floyd? Are you wearing a mask? We can't hear you on mute, Floyd. Is Floyd on mute? Floyd, you got to take the mask off and unmute.
Yeah. I did.
Wait. Are you wearing a mask?
Yeah, but got not good news around here right now.
Not good. What happened in your house? Who brought the vid? Who brought the Rona to the house?
The wife and the kids.
The wife and the kids. Oh man, sorry to hear that.
They just come in. And I just came in and they tell me she went and checked it out. Then.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Is anyone laid up? What are the symptoms like?
No, they're not severe. Only the little my little 3-year-old he kind of little he got a little temperature.
Right.
Like about 98. Not too
98
serious.
is normal.
So is that? Let me ask you: is that an N95 or K95 mask you're wearing? Because if it isn't, you might as well take it off.
Yeah. Well, I just you're right. I need an N95. You're right. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, you're right. So
Not really. Put it back on.
So my question, I call in to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Because since you guys touch on low emission fossil fuel, following a previous conversation, you guys touched on a few weeks ago. I remember Dr. Amsu say that you mentioned about the fertilizer, right? Having plastic in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so I went and I go and do my due diligence and
Right.
Yeah, and I had the question, in fact, okay, why they have plastic in there? So I get to understand they're saying that it released the fertilizer into the plants slowly. So don't know what that is about, but anyway, and I have to question myself, okay, so what plastic is made from? And I want to ask you that question, if you know what plastic is made from.
All right, plastics come from petrochemicals. Usually, and they also derived from can come from rubber trees and sap from rubber. But most plastics, the cheap type, come from fossil fuels.
Yes, right. So I was just because I had a doctor's appointment and me and my doctor had a conversation and he didn't even know what plastic is.
So let's talk about the plastic in fertilizer and plastic when it's used in a lot of applications that it doesn't necessarily make sense. So check this out. I'm trying to find a reference. So at home, you wrap stuff up in cling film or what's the shrink wrap, saran wrap they call it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you go on vacation, you have that after a certain amount of time, that erodes, right? It will rip up and you have to replace it because it's old and tattered now, right? So what they're doing, they're using polymers. So what they're doing, you know what a microabrasion is or microbeads. Have you heard of microbeads? So now they can make plastic into such really tiny balls and they're putting it into makeup. So when, it's taking the place, replacing like sand and, they used to put actual sand in abrasive creams. Now they're using plastic balls. So basically what they're doing to make a slow release fertilizer, because that's what it is. They want the fertilizer to release over time. They put it into little polymer filled bags or little plastic bags. Over time, the plastic erodes. But the plastic doesn't erode into the atmosphere. It erodes into the plant. It erodes into the soil, right? So that's how they're using it. So it's not like, it's not that plastic is the fertilizer. They're using the plastic in the fertilizer as a mechanism to slow release the fertilizer. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's that plastic that gets
but there are also, remember, we're dealing with
petrochemicals, of course.
Petrochemicals, right? Petrochemicals are being utilized, but remember, all right. So, what is in nature? Here is the corruption or the iniquity of the devil, right? Is this? I find something in nature that I find serves a specific purpose and it does a good job of it. But I'm greedy. So here's what I do. I try to find out which part of nature in a plant or in a bark, in a plant, in a flower, in a fruit or whatever that is that particular property. Which chemical or which molecule is responsible for this outcome? My job is to separate it, isolate it. And I isolate this particular molecule. And when I do that, I patent it. This molecule was isolated by Dr. Amsu. And then Dr. Amsu now goes and patents it. Says, I found it. I'm the person who found it, and here's what it does. And then I synthesize it in a laboratory. I now create that molecule and replicate it, right? So with plastics, they're found somewhere in nature, but they're isolated, right? And then synthesized. They're made artificially. And in that artificial manufacture, there's side effects. There are side effects, whether it's to the human or to the animal or to the environment in general, right? And whether it's part of a plan, if we start, if we go to the extreme, that the devil knows what he's doing, and it's part of a greater plan to bring around illness and for him to now give us a treatment to enrich himself. And by himself, I mean themselves, right? Whoever they are, right? And here's the thing. Throughout all major religions that have lasted all this time, if you look in scriptures, they give you sometimes the how vivid the description is scary on how things would be towards the end of time. So you have to now ask yourself, okay, am I a tinfoil hat wearing idiot or crazy person? Am I a conspiracy theorist? Or were these ideas put into my head through literature that I had to study every Sunday or every Friday if you're a Muslim, right? Okay. It was put into our heads. And how could it be put into our heads in the form of prophecy if it wasn't going to happen? Or if it wasn't going to happen, why is it happening now where 2/3 of the world's waters are poisoned, right? So there's a plan in place. There is a plan in place being implemented, and whether you're religious or spiritual or woke or whatever, we have to recognize that there is a problem. No matter if we say it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, or it's him, or it's a secret society, or whomever it is, there's a problem. And we're getting sick because of this problem. Right? And the problem runs so deep, it affects every aspect of our lives. There's nowhere to go in the world where you are safe. Uh-oh. Because microplastics are in the sea, they're in the rain.
Yes.
Nanoplastics, so we're even going smaller than microplastics. Nanoplastics are in the environment. We breathe them in all day, every day. So we have to find in nature something or things that can neutralize the effects of these poisonous, toxic substances that we cannot escape. And in nature, that's in the form of fruits, plants, flowers, seeds, barks, leaves, petals, This is where the answer's found. God is nature. And when somebody says to you, you need God, that's God, is nature. That's the cure.
All right, so.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to touch on it, because to my knowledge, coming from a Caribbean background and so on, when I look back at it, we really didn't used to use that much plastic, containers and any kind of storage and thing, maybe we more with use enamel and cast iron.
Well, you know what? That's because your family was in the West Indies in the 50s and 60s, right? But everywhere,
they couldn't afford Tupperware. Let's keep it real.
No, but check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a child, right? Everything was glass and paper. Every container was glass or paper. And then the Tupperware people came around with this great invention called Tupperware or plastic. Plastic was not being used. They had to market it to everybody. Look, it doesn't break. It's lightweight. It will last longer. But what was not considered by us, or what was not told to us, was what it does to the environment, the long-term effects. So for convenience, the convenience of plastic, the convenience of having fossil fuels to power your cars and your jet engines and your engines and all of that, right? The convenience that came with these things and the convenience of being able to get somewhere real quick, right? We used to have steam engines, right?
Mm-hmm. Still do.
Still do.
Some places.
Right? But a lot back at there, as them say, right? Environmental things were better for the environment, sorry. Things were better. But we've come to find now, and here's the thing. So you all know what's going on in Sri Lanka and what's going on in Netherlands, right? With the fertilizers, with the pesticides and all these things, right? Those farmers were basically forced into using those things by the government. And now there's a health crisis, there's an environmental health crisis that governments are bringing to light and saying to these same farmers who they coerced into implementing fertilizers and pesticides where people, all these farmers were saying, no, we're going to use manure. We're going to use natural fertilizer and all that. They were coaxed into doing so. Right? They were forced into it. Now the same powers are saying them, you got to come out of it. And we're forcing you to come out of it.
It's sad how the government could just push anything on you. You know what I mean? It's because some people don't have a choice. We just got it.
Well, so the plan of action is we're going to get you to do something that's bad for the environment, that's going to make people sick. Therefore, the pharmaceutical industry comes in to treat you. But at the same time, we're going to, at some point, realize that it's bad for the environment, making people sick and all that, and we're going to force you to stop using it. Now it's going to affect your livelihood. Now you're going to go bankrupt and broke, and now you're going to have to sell your land. And then the same people who own the pharmaceutical industries and the big techs and big this and big that, they're going to buy your land.
Right.
So Revelations is actually playing out as according to plan.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Big man thing.
Firstly, I can't pull up the Revelation stats, but I get you. I've read the book and seen the movie. But yes, regardless.
Part 2 Bible.
Right.
This time is personal.
I've got to get this. The organ sound. But go ahead, Floyd. What was you going to say?
No. I mean, like I was going to inject it. I know that in Europe. I know the Europeans don't really do a lot of. They do more glass. Even the sodas and all them things stored in glass containers. Yeah,
there's some European countries that are quite strict on certain chemicals. The Scandinavian countries, but no, Europe is just as bad, if not worse, than America. They'll operate the same. It's the same companies. You'll find in some municipalities they'll restrict the use of plastics. Like in London, they ban single-use plastic from a lot of shops. And in fact, now you have to pay to use a plastic bag in some places, And again, this is sort of the environmental, they're bending to environmental pressure. And it's also about controlling what comes from China. There's a lot of things behind it. But yes, some European countries, more so than anywhere in America, maybe parts of California, maybe some of the square states, but definitely in Europe, there are places that restrict the use of certain chemicals, and definitely single-use plastics at the very least. So
All right, so let me ask this one question for the wife. So like lately we find that she blood pressure is low.
What was the question again, Floyd?
My wife, the wife, her blood pressure is low.
Is low.
Yeah, I know she's pregnant as well. So any advice on? I mean, we got a lot of stuff here that from you guys. So I just want to know if we need to add anything to it or not.
All right. Dr. Keeler, I'm gonna bring you in at this point. I know you've been sitting there patiently, and I see her laugh a few times. Come on with it, Dr. Keeler.
You said something about Beelzebub, and she's like, "Oh no."
Pleasant afternoon, everybody. I hope all is well. Low blood pressure is actually a natural function of pregnancy and is to be expected because her entire cardiovascular system has been restructured. With every pregnancy, the amount of fluid her body retains increases by about a third to compensate for new life in the womb. Her respiratory system changes to increase oxygenation of blood so that the specialized hemoglobin that the unborn child has can get and latch onto that oxygen. And you need the extra volume that she's retaining to get that blood to her, as well as maintain her at the same time. The compensation that the creator made for that is that her body for the next 9 months, 2 weeks, stays in a state of vascular relaxation. So that means the muscles in her blood vessels, instead of having a tendency to tighten up, they relax more. And what that does is allow for more blood flow to the kidney so she can filter for the baby any impurities out of the blood, which are naturally occurring as a function of what she eats and breaks down for the baby and herself. But that relaxation of the blood vessels translates into less force of the heart pumping against those blood vessels. So her whole system is a low pressure system now, and that protects her brain from stroke, her heart from heart attack, her gut from gut stroke. It's a protective function. Now, if she starts feeling dizzy, if she starts feeling nauseous, that's a different thing. That's something that her OB or midwife will have to address. But having low blood pressure or lower than normal blood pressure during pregnancy, that's an adaptive feature. That's actually, it can be a very good thing. Most physicians are more concerned when the blood pressure is high, because that either means it's a placental issue, either there's something wrong with the placental structure that's affecting the vasculature, affecting blood flow through the umbilical vein into the placenta, or out of the placenta through the umbilical artery, or there's an oxygenation problem. And what happens is the placenta will secrete hormones and other neurotransmitters on behalf of the baby to increase the blood pressure, and that is called preeclampsia. In pregnancy, it's gestational hypertension, and when it starts to affect the kidney, it's preeclampsia, and then when it starts to affect the brain, that's eclampsia. That results in seizures. So her lower blood pressure is actually a natural adaptive feature that the creator has made to safe keep her, safe keep the baby, make everything flow well and go well.
Praise Jaja.
Okay, so at what point, gosh, her doctor tell her that someday if it drops somewhere low, she didn't give him a specific threshold where low, and you could go to the she must go to the hospital. So what number is, too low?
What number would you have to start worrying? It depends on the person. So the thing is, what was her blood pressure when she wasn't pregnant? She has to know that. And then what is her blood pressure with each pregnancy? You probably don't know those things. Neither one of you do, because as long as you're feeling great, who's measuring?
No, no, we have a machine. I do the regular. So
Okay.
it's there on the machine.
The other piece is if she starts to have symptoms, like if she starts to feel nauseous, feel dizzy, feel unsteady on her feet, that's when you really have to be concerned
Okay.
because, that means something needs to be addressed and corrected. But having low blood pressure in pregnancy is kind of
It's
normal.
normal. Okay.
Yes. Just ask her how she's I mean, you have a whole team, you have a whole family. So you've been with her every pregnancy, so every pregnancy can be different too. But just
Right.
ask her day to day and then throughout the day when you call her from work or when you see her in the morning or when you come home in the evening, how you feeling? Are you dizzy? Feel nauseous? You ask her because she might not even think to say it.
No, she does. She
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, because we can get used
She
to
definitely says
feeling
it. Yeah.
one way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
You need to be a better man, Floyd.
All right. No problem. All right. I think
But
that's good enough.
and here's the thing. What I wanted to point out as well. A lot of OBGYNs will get you all boomy, right? That's the scientific term for today.
Boomy.
Boomy,
There you go.
right?
I'll look it up.
They will make you paranoid about every little thing,
Thing.
right? And you get all antsy and everything is like, so what are they trying to achieve here? So common practice right now for most births is the C-section, right? C-section used to be last resort. Now they're trying to get everybody to do C-section because what they do, they attach all these monitors, all these sensors and everything, right? Well, my daughter was having her baby. I said, don't let them give you a C-section. I know they're going to try. And they were monitoring the child's heartbeat, and it was like, oh, the child's in distress. We're gonna have to induce labor. And when they induce labor, oh, the child is distressed. We're gonna have to cut the child out. They do that to everybody. There's standard operating procedures that they use in order to either get you to do a procedure at the hospital or whoever gets to charge more money, and then the post procedural medication that comes with it. Now they get you, so they've priced you, they've upsold you on things that you need not have had to do, that were unnecessary. So there's a conflict of interest when it comes to the medical industry and patients. There's a conflict of interest. They're charging you for everything. So every procedure that they've now convinced you have to do, there's an anesthesiologist, right?
All right.
That is used, right? Whatever other surgical staff are needed in a procedure, right? Then there's the post-op. So all these things are, and a longer stay as well, right? So when you get a C-section or whatever, you're not let out the next day. You're in for a few more days.
It's all about the money.
It's all about money. So we have to be cognizant of these things and become more educated and aware of all the tactics and techniques they use to get us into situations. Now you've had plenty of children, and this is the thing. How do you feel? How do you feel? There are some people who go through going through detox, and they may have temporary times where their blood pressure may spike, but it's not chronic. But if they have you monitoring these things all the time, now you're paranoid. When especially if you have an alarm of some sort that beep, 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 because you've hit a certain threshold, these things will make you more susceptible to their tactics, to their tricks.
Okay. Well, that's good enough, I think. I wasn't too worried about it, but she was, but but because all the other pregnancy, we didn't monitor all of them, but now the equipment is here and she's checking it, and then she went to see it. She went there today and they check it. They tell her it's low, but like you said, doctor doctor she could Dr. Kilo.
Yeah.
Dr. Kilo came on and break it down. They
Right.
don't do that.
There you go.
They do that.
So here's another thing, right, for everybody to think about. So I'm gonna ask you this question, Floyd. Are you virus free? Are you virus free?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm about to go take a test right now.
All right. So if you come back negative, are you virus free?
I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
Because it's everything is right here. So at any time it could strike.
No, but if you go and get tested and you come back negative, are you virus free?
Oh, let's say yes.
All right. So as you can see, Dr. Keeler's shaking her head because we are full of viruses. We have billions. Billions.
Okay.
So viruses and bacteria, we are full of them. We're full of it. Pathogens, we're full of it. So if we had alarms for every time a new virus entered our body, we'd be a bundle of nerves. So when Keela was saying, how do you feel? We don't know at any given time what our blood pressure is, what our blood sugar levels are, what our insulin levels are, what our cortisol levels are. We don't know. All we know is, do I feel good? Am I energized? Do I feel good? Or do I feel a bit nauseous? Do I feel a bit tired? Am I a bit lethargic? Am I brain fogged? Am I having a hard time concentrating? These are things that by nature we monitor ourselves and we know when we're under the weather or if we're feeling good. But when we start probing and we start putting things to thresholds and, are these things happening? Is my blood sugar high at the moment? All these things stress us out. So if you are every 2 hours checking your blood pressure, you're going to have points where your blood pressure is going to be high. Higher than normal. Your blood sugar is going to be higher than normal at certain times. But it's down to, how do I feel? Am I functioning correctly?
Okay, Floyd.
What's that? Floyd
froze. I think he's in shock.
He had enough.
He had more than 6 minutes with the doctor. Yeah, so he's like, Amen, Floyd. We're having a biblical day today. So, well, Floyd, stick around. Oh, you had another question? Oh, you're on mute.
You've muted.
So let me get some more knowledge out there.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Good.
All right, Floyd.
All right, guys. Take care. Everybody take care.
All right. Hang around. We're gonna have
I'm here.
We're having Dr. Ams's birthday there. We're gonna have cake. So, France, hold on. We're gonna come to you in a minute. I had another question. We had a YouTube question. Pam was asking, is it okay to extend the fibroid elimination phase for a couple of months, or end it with the regeneration phase and keep repeating if you need to do for an extended period of time? So I guess the question is, do you extend the elimination phase or do you extend the regeneration phase?
RTFM, mate.
RTFM.
All right. So we clearly say in the instructional manual or in the fibroid elimination Bible that phase 2 and 3 are alternated. So you do 42 days preferably, right, of elimination, and then at least 18 days of regeneration. You can extend regeneration if you want, but you alternate those two, right, until you get rid of all your fibroids. So you are supposed to go in between each. Elimination is constant, but there's an elimination diet that helps to expedite the elimination of the fibroids, but we provide regeneration so that we try to preserve muscle, right? Skeletal muscle. So we implement the regeneration phase just to ensure that you maintain skeletal muscle integrity. All right.
Okay, excellent. That was a YouTube question. Pam, I think if you're on, let us know if that answered your question. If not, and remember, you can always jump on the Zoom. Can I do that here? No, I won't do it here. I'll put the link to the Zoom into the YouTube, so you guys can always jump into the Zoom and ask your question directly. All right, so moving on, and I'm glad. I think France. I'm hoping you're going to ask the question because you were going to make me say my favorite word in all of medicine-dom, but I'll let you say it. So, France, if you could unmute your camera and your mic, please. I see you have your hand up as well. Is it the same, France?
Yes.
France, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you? Let me know if you can hear.
We can
you hear me?
We can hear and we can see you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering my question, or taking me on. I just basically was looking into a diagnosis called it's pretty long.
Zoospermia. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote
So
it down.
basically, you got a low sperm count.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And essentially, I'm not of the belief that this type of condition is irreversible. I firmly believe in nature, but I'm not really sure where to start.
Okay.
So how could one counteract that and be able to conceive?
Okay, so one of the major problems that's going around, right? It's out there, it's going around, it's catchy, right? Is andropause, right? Andropause, meaning that the androgens, which are a type of hormones that are more masculine, right? That produce muscle and in men helps with sperm, right? So testosterone is one example of an androgen, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's andropause, meaning there's an inhibition. It's being inhibited somehow. We live in a highly estrogenic environment due to xenoestrogens, due to these phthalates, these plastics, these nano and microplastics that are endocrine disrupting toxins, chemicals. We're surrounded by them. Then there are phytoestrogens that are in foods, right? Then there are foods that were naturally not that way, but due to fertilizers and pesticides have become that way, where now they're overly estrogenic, right?
Yeah.
And when we ingest these substances, whether we eat them or we put them onto our skin, right? So you sound like you are from a Caribbean background as well.
Yeah, absolutely. How'd you know?
Right? So that means that throughout your life, you probably were using Vaseline on your skin for your whole life. Or something similar.
I'll give you a better background, right? So it's not for me, it's for someone that I know.
Okay.
And I'm doing more research to help him conceive.
Right.
He's up in his 40s. And I've been looking through the supplement list from the Black Detox. There's something called Virility or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe that could help him, but I'm not sure what
Absolutely.
else could.
So all right. So this is the thing. Whether it's Vaseline or Red Fox cocoa butter, right? Or lotions in general, right? Lotions in times of antiquity, alchemists would put together what I do. Take a plant and you process that plant naturally to get its oils and its essence and whatever, right? And we would use that and have whatever base we use, whether it was water or we found a nut or whatever, and use the oils as a base for lotions, right? To put on our bodies. So it was all natural, right? And we found that these natural properties had a great feel and gave us great results. What happened again was which properties of these plants are responsible for these fragrances? Which properties are responsible for making the skin feel a bit soft or whatever? And then we isolate that molecule and we'll synthesize it, or we'll create another substance to mimic the aroma, right? Or the texture, the feel of this thing, not caring or worrying about the side effects, the long-term effects of these things. So what happens over time, alongside the environment, the bad environment, right? And the bad foods in the diet, the processed foods in the diet. What happens is the endocrine system becomes dysfunctional. Hormones being produced, gonadotropin releasing hormones, which trigger certain hormones to actually become activated. If it's from that level, this is where instances such as male andropause starts to take place, right? Which means muscle tone is lost, balding, male pattern baldness, right? Where men start to get gynecomastia, where men start to get basically titties, start to get breasts, right? We start to become more insulin resistant, right? And start to get the visceral fat, the belly fat. Yeah. And this all impacts our immune system, where we start to produce more pro-inflammatory cells. And those pro-inflammatory cells go to work on the gonads, right? The urological damage that's done now, on the prostate is no longer producing seminal fluid. We start to lose in our testes the ability to produce sperm.
Right.
And, right there, when we stop, we start losing the ability to produce sperm, and it's a testicular issue, we have to now consider what's going on with testosterone, with these androgens, if it's actually being produced to maintain muscle, right? So we have the supplement Virility, which is just for that. And we have Liver RX, because your liver is key in the synthesis of damn near all sex hormones, all the steroidal hormones.
So
right?
A combination of virility and liver
RX. And blood. This is why in the Great Black Detox 14, those three are the ones that's used, because they're going to provide the nutrients to not only maintain, but to also heal, right? Remedy issues that surround black men and black women,
right?
In general.
Right.
So, guys, I'm going to put those links to the chat, but I want to bring Dr. Keela in. I know we've been talking offline, and I know this is a subject she has quite a bit of experience in. I'm not going to ask her, but she's going to share that with us. Dr. Keela.
What's his name, Keela?
What's he right?
What's his name?
No, I just wanted to share a graphic so that people can see this spatially about what Dr. Amsu is addressing. So he's addressing your nutrition as it affects your reproduction. For a woman, her fertility, a man, his virility. If you will permit me, I just want to show you something briefly.
Yep, share screen.
So we're screen sharing now. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so short form, anything that is going to cause rusting in any part of the body is going to damage it. In this case, they're talking about, you normally have sperm that form. You have all these communication signals called chemokines, cytokines, and whatnot. And then the body's natural ability at the molecular level to get rid of cells that are either abnormal in shape or abnormal in function. Okay, that's called apoptosis. This is a whole chemical pathway naturally occurring. Don't worry about it. The main thing you need to know is when things stop working, they are put into a death spiral, a death pathway. That's called apoptosis. So if in this case, the oligoastheneteratospermia, also known as OAT, OAT, is a condition of low sperm count, abnormal sperm function, and particularly motility, and abnormal sperm formation. Now, you can have that any kind of way. It can occur very many different ways, but nutritional issues are a big one. So if you're eating a lot of processed foods, which are loaded with a lot of synthetics as well as things that burn out the mitochondria, you're going to end up in this low sperm count situation. Um, the thing is, mitochondria are literal sports cars when it comes to cells in the body. They have some of the highest number of engines per sperm. So if you don't have proper nutrition, you can't make the fuel for these little half people to move around and get to where they need to be. And so that's one thing. Why is that important? Because your nutrition affects this pathway that safeguards your cells from going into a death spiral and lowering your fertility. This thing over here is called oxidative stress. It just means rust. That's all it means. But rust kills more cells than anything. It kills more cells than anything. All the processed food causes a lot of rust. Anything that has to do with too much estrogen is going to affect the formation of the sperm. So too much estrogen in the environment, in synthetic topical products, in our food system, in our water, it affects this leg. The nutrition affects this leg and the immune component. So that's why his supplements can help get things back in proper order. Does this make sense? Yes, sure.
It makes perfect sense. Is there a supplement that you have in your listing to help weight loss combined with all of the above?
I'm going to defer that to Dr. Amsu.
Absolutely.
And a lot of his supplements operate in this arena with the antioxidants.
Okay. So we have a supplement called Lipo RX.
Lipo RX. Okay.
Yes. Now, is he obese?
Yeah, he's kind of chunk. Definitely, the belly.
Don't sugarcoat it. Is he obese? Because nowadays,
I would say yes. Yeah, he is.
All right. So you can tell by looking at him that All right. So he may also have a thyroid issue. So there was something that Keela said, which is about mitochondria and the importance, how critical, how essential mitochondria is in all of this. The energy of every cell in your body is dependent upon mitochondria, and that mitochondrial relationship with every cell, the thyroid gland is absolutely important in that pathway, right? So people who are obese, right, their thyroid hormone is usually underexpressed.
Okay.
Right? So we have LipoRx, which helps with metabolism, but he can also utilize our thyroid RX as well, right? So we do have a Great Black Fat Detox, right? Which includes, there's a supplement in that called Stability, right? And Stability does help to balance hormones, right? So it does the job somewhat of virility, right? But I would recommend that he does get virility because of the male urological system, right? But also LipoRx helps with metabolism. But the key to all of this is his diet and lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I don't want him taking the supplements and he carries on eating the poisons that put him in the situation in the first place, which is why we have diet plans. We have meal plans.
So it sounds to me, Dr. Amsu, this is a perfect case for a private consultation because, first of all, and I want to commend you for coming on and asking for your friend. You care about people. A lot of people don't bother. It's a guy as well, a guy asking about another guy. So I'm actually quite impressed with that. But here's the thing. You doing a great job, but then you're going to carry this to him. And then I know you're going to goony-goo-goo what Dr. Amsu said. You're definitely going to goony-goo-goo what Dr. Keela said, right? So honestly, get this guy, your friend, to do a private consultation, because that way, Dr. Amsu, Dr. Keela, one of the team, can really talk to him, because there's things about him that even you don't know, right?
Right,
So you're
right,
telling
yeah.
us what you know about him, what you see about him, but in asking him, trust me, there'll be things that he'll reveal that maybe even he didn't realize about himself because of what he's doing. And so this is a classic case for someone that needs a private consultation, because just in this call alone, you've talked about azoospermia, I think you talked about weight issues, obesity issues,
Right.
and potentially other issues as well. That is
Yeah,
exactly, and here's the thing, based on what you've said, Dr. Amsu is correct. Hey, go and get virility, go and get lipo-RX, even do a detox, right? But in a consultation, we can actually map out a very clear and a more concise health
Plan.
regimen for your friend. And that's why I put all of those links in the chat for you,
Yeah, I
Franz.
did see that.
So you can share them. You can go and get the stuff. No problem with doing that at all. But I also put the link in there for a consultation, because it will benefit you as well in trying to help him. And honestly, you know, if he wants, you can attend the consultation as well. We do allow chaperones to attend consultations. We don't do 2 consultations in one, right? But sometimes some people do need a chaperone for any number of reasons. So if you're putting this effort in to help your friend, book him a consultation, have him come along, the two of you sit there, and if he needs your kind of, you know, your arm around him, I don't know what your relationship is, but if he needs you to help him with that, bring him on the call, and trust me, we'll interview him directly, and you'll see what'll come out, and it'll be the best thing you have done for him.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. So that's very helpful.
No, appreciate you,
You're
Franz.
most welcome,
Thanks
Franz.
for that. And honestly, I wish a lot more men would do this. I don't know if you've been on the call before, Franz, but you see, it's mostly women that come on here. We love it because we got all this eye candy. But we have a lot of men out there that need a lot of help and support, and there's not enough of us.
Well, black men, we don't like to talk about our health.
Jamaican black men.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I think I got the email, and I figured, why not? I'm looking for information for him. And no, I think he's going to be interested. That's and also, I'm sure you heard that, but I saw the Breakfast Club interview, so that was an encouragement, and that definitely left this thing in my mind too, because I have to take care of my health as well, because I have my own problems. But I figured I would ask for him.
Right, exactly. That's excellent, Franz.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Keela, as well, for always lending such an insightful input to that as well. So I wasn't going to come to you, man, but you're cracking me up over here. I don't know what that is in your mouth, Pamela. I know where you were this morning, so you got to let us know how it went and why you're coming on the call with dental equipment hanging out of your mouth. I think you're on mute, Pamela. And you're freezing a little bit as well, I think. The mercury in your teeth has knocked out your Wi-Fi.
There we go.
Oh,
We can hear you a bit better now.
Because you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, you need to get closer to the mic though.
I told you before, I don't care what the pain is. I want to take the clindamycin and
yeah, you're something with your audio. I think your internet connection is a bit choppy there, Pamela. We can't hear you very clearly.
Like I just went to the dentist, got a tooth extracted. Then what do I do to the pain? And so far, I haven't taken anything since
All right.
this morning. But vitamin C, I told you I always take vitamin C, and I can deal with it until I know.
Okay, so.
I'm breaking up.
All right, so while I'm talking, I'm going to dictate to Mikey so we can type it in, right? But concoction, you need an oil base, preferably coconut oil, right? You're going to add turmeric. You're going to add cloves. You're going to, if you don't have it, go and get the essential oil, oil of oregano. And cayenne pepper, and you're going to a couple of drops into, like, say, half a cup of coconut oil. You're gonna put half a teaspoon of each of those powders: turmeric, cloves, and cayenne, and 2 to 3 drops of oil of oregano. Stir that up. Swoosh it around, it will knock 99.99999% of those bad bacteria out.
Coconut oil or coconut water?
Coconut oil.
Half a cup of that.
All right, and you just swoosh around, and then every few hours, just do that.
And,
All right.
and how does
So what causes the
clot?
pain? What causes the pain are the pathogens that may be festering up. So once you knock them out, the pain will go, and it also keeps away any infection. So you swish it around and then you spit it out. You don't have to swallow it.
And what about blood clot? It's supposed to clot.
Swish around.
You know they keep saying it's supposed to clot.
Right. So
that's okay. Got
It's
it.
supposed to coagulate.
yeah, it's supposed to coagulate. If right now you're not bleeding out, so your blood is coagulating.
It's bleeding. It's bleeding more. I thought it was supposed to stop by now. That was 8 o'clock this morning.
Is it? Are you bleeding out, like, or is it just slightly bleeding? Are you lightheaded with the amount of blood? Are you in a horror show? Is this a horror movie we're looking at? You know, sometimes people get worried. It's like, all this blood, but it might just be a small amount. But that actually, what I just told you will actually help for your blood to coagulate anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're most
Thank you,
welcome.
Pamela. And good luck with that. I'm glad you got that done. Okay, so going back to the questions I had lined up, I know there aren't any hands up in the call. So we did Floyd, we did Pam, we did France, we did Janelle. Okay, so Janelle Hardy had an email question in, and I think we may have answered this already. Let me just read through it real quick before I read it out and embarrass myself. Okay, so this is, I know, it's a health question, it's slightly political. What are the ways that you know you can have fibroids and to get assistance with fibroids, being that you've been told by your doctor, regardless of you having anemia, that you have fibroids and they don't know how you got them? So I think I got to paraphrase this out. And again, apologies guys, I'm just reading from the email. I think Janelle's asking, how can a woman know she has fibroids? Or how can she get assistance with fibroids regardless of what the doctor says, telling her that she has them or not? You know, it's kind of weird, but I think how does one know they have fibroids even without, is it because of the anemia? Are there other signs? What are the signs of fibroids regardless of what the doctor's telling you?
Okay, well, you got to be diagnosed with fibroids to know that they are fibroids, first of all, right? You can have fibroids, but you don't know that they are fibroids. But if you have a growth, a tumor, because fibroids are tumors, now you have to ensure that your tumors are benign and that they are actually fibroids, not polyps, not cysts or whatever, so that you know, and definitely not cancerous, they're not malignant, right? So diagnosis is very important. So you need a doctor to diagnose you, absolutely, right? Now, if the doctor's saying, well, we don't know how they got there, that's because they don't want to admit in the field of medicine, in the medical industry, they don't want to admit what is the root cause. Because if they admit what the root cause is, then they wouldn't have as many hysterectomies or myomectomies to do every year or every week or every month, right? So you have to understand why some doctors may not know, because they're following what they've been taught, right? And what the industry standard is that the cause of fibroids is unknown. We know it's estrogen dominance, it's estrogen related, right? It's a hormonal imbalance. And all the culprits for that are in your diet and in what is in your environment and what you're putting on your skin, right? So the lifestyle has to change. So the fibroid elimination program that we have in place, which we call the Great Black Fibroid Detox, is actually the Great Black Fibroid Regimen, right? Fibroid elimination regimen. It's a lifestyle change. You have to change your lifestyle. You have been overly exposed to estrogen. It is dominating as a hormone in your body, right? Of the steroidal hormones, it is dominating. The ratio between estrogen and progesterone and even testosterone is out of whack. And how it's expressing itself in your body right now, and I say right now in quotations, right, is that your body is tumorous. But it's tumorous in a friendly, benign way. And it's not so friendly because it can impact other organs and it can cause other issues, right? But right now your body is expressing estrogen dominance in the way of fibroids. But as you get older, the expression will start to grow. You know, no pun intended, right? This may turn into breast cancer. I'm not trying to say that it will, but breast cancer is something, you know, ovarian cancer, you know, early menopause, all manners of chronic inflammatory conditions can be caused by estrogen dominance, right? So right now the expression is in the form of fibroids. There may be other things going on that your GYN is out of their scope for them to diagnose, right? But the lifestyle is still very important that you change your lifestyle. And that's what in this book, let me bring it up real quick. This book, which is the Got Fibroids. I had to look at the cover like I didn't even write, right? The Got Fibroids, the Fibroid Elimination Bible. You'll get an ebook version of this. If you want the paperback version, that is sold separately, right? But nonetheless, it's a lifestyle change. There's foods that you have to eliminate from your diet. There's lifestyle choices that you have to change. You have to change what you put on your skin, especially if they are processed synthesized chemicals that are most probably full of phthalates, right? Which is a form of plastic, which is a chemical which softens plastic, right? There's bisphenol A's that are in plastic containers, right? There are hair relaxers. It's in hair relaxers, it's in makeup, it's in so many aspects of life, right? There's so many things in women's makeup, right? That are full of endocrine disrupting chemicals. And those endocrine disrupting chemicals means in the end that you have hormonal imbalance. And that hormonal imbalance is what we're fighting. So your diet has to change, your lifestyle has to change. And within the Got Fibroids, the Fibroid Elimination Bible, we tell you what to eliminate from your diet. We tell you the best practices in your lifestyle for you to successfully eliminate the fibroids alongside the supplements. What exercises to do, right? So there's everything about you has to change because how you've been living put you into this situation, and it will only get worse if you do not address it.
Indeed. Sorry, and I'm helping someone else out here. Listen, great questions today. I'm glad, and I'm so glad we're doing the email questions now, because a lot of people do have questions. They may not have the time to come on here. We do answer all the emails, but we'd just like to read them out on here as well, give you guys the opportunity to hear some of the answers, because most things, a lot of people suffer with a number of conditions. So
can you ask the one about skin? Because I'm waiting to, I just love how Keela's breaking it down.
The one about skin,
about moles.
I didn't see that one. Who did that come from?
All right, so I'm going to read it out. Right?
These are your made-up questions.
No. These came in the form of email, and our customer service guru Moses, you know, big shout out to Moses. Made sure that we got all the questions right. Let me see. There was quite a few. One circulation. What's this one? Right. This one came in from Pamela Brown. What causes skin moles all over the body? How can you get rid of them? So, Dr. Keela, work your magic.
No magic here. I just,
Black girl magic, Keela. Black girl magic. Black people magic.
Most moles can have a lot of different origins, okay? Some of them are related to sunlight, some of them are related to mutation, and some of them are related to your blood sugar. For a lot of people of African descent, a lot of richly melanated people, our moles are not often from sun. It's from being pre-diabetic or diabetic. So I'll start there. One of the sentinel signs that your blood sugar is out of control is getting a lot of flesh moles in this area, right around the eyes and the neck. It's not just that dark patch on the cheek that you have to be aware of, which is common among people who have very poorly controlled blood sugar. It's the moles, the flesh moles. So in that instance, you have to be mindful about your starch and your sugar intake, as well as your intake of bitters, because the bitters often help reestablish your endocrine chemistry, that orchestra of hormones that needs to be at play, playing off of each other to keep everything just right. If you are estrogen dominant, like in polycystic ovarian syndrome, it sets you up to become diabetic. So that's where reproduction and blood sugar control meet up in women. In men, being overweight can disrupt your hormonal balance and set you up for a lot of flesh moles. The side effect would be that condition that we just talked about that interferes with a man's ability to procreate because it affects his sperm. Now, when it comes to moles not related to blood sugar, those are the ones that we rarely get. But when we do get them, they tend to be more serious than in a lighter skinned colleague, because our bodies don't tend to react to sun like that. And when they do, that's when we have to worry. So with moles, remember the first 5 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, and E. A, B, C, D, E. Is the border of the mole symmetrical, or is it irregular, asymmetric? If it's asymmetric, that's clue number 1. You may have a mole that you have to worry about. B, what are the borders like? Are the borders smooth, rough and jagged and irregular? If the borders are smooth, more likely than not, you don't usually have to worry about it. But if they're rough, jagged, or irregular, that's another clue. Be concerned. I forgot what C was. I'll have to look up C again. It was just on the tip of my mind.
Course.
Pardon?
Course.
Course. So, no, color. It's color.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Thank you. You helped me though.
You do that, don't you?
So, is the color of the mole the same throughout, or is it different colors in different places? If it's different colors in different places, that's a red flag. Go get it checked out. D, the diameter. Usually less than a millimeter. You usually don't have to worry about it. But if you have all those other red flags, go get it checked out. And E, you want to know if it's everywhere or a specific location. And E also means something else. I always forget C and E for some reason. But just remember A, B, C, D, and E is the most symmetric. What are the borders like? What color is the mole, the diameter, meaning how much does it measure across, and E. So the thing is, you want something that looks the same all the way across, all the way around, no differences in texture or anything like that. Another red flag is if you have a mole, like I have one hand painted, one hand not. Don't worry about it. It was that kind of day. But if you start to see it changes in colors in your nail bed, right, where you get like a mole underneath your nail, a subungual mole, that's what it's called medically, please go get that checked out. That's usually early sign of melanoma, which can be insidious because melanomas don't usually get really big, but they go really deeply into the layers of the skin. And once they hit the dermis and then the hypodermis, which are the supportive tissues, and then beyond in the skin, that's usually when they spread and become metastatic, meaning they're going all over the place because they are able to jump the highways, the lymphatic vessels, as well as the blood vessels, okay? So, and also on your palms and soles. So for people who are richly melanated, when we start to get moles on the palms of our hands, the undersides, are the soles of our feet, those are very serious because we normally don't get them. And a lot of doctors, even dermatologists, are not always educated to look for those things in richly melanated people like ourselves across the planet, because the assumption is we don't get skin cancers. We do get them rarely, but when we get them, they tend to be very serious skin cancers.
And one thing I wanted to point out as well, because there is propaganda, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pharmaceutical and chemical industry will try its best to dupe us. And what's going around now is that black people need sunscreen, right? Because they try to fool us into believing that melanoma is caused by sun. Melanoma is not caused by the sun. But and the scientists know this, right? But yet they'll put out information to the general population, to Gen Pop, that get sunscreen and get this SPF of 30 and above, and they start to categorize us by how dark our skin is, what type of sunscreen to get. And melanoma is not caused by the sun.
We hardly get cancers caused by sunlight.
Right.
When we do get cancers caused by sunlight, guess what the culprit is? Bleaching. So whether you're in the States, the Caribbean, Europe, the continent of Africa, Arabia, India, Asia, if you are being marketed to with skin bleaching products, skin lightening products, most of them, I won't even say all, I'll say most, have things in them that are carcinogenic, that cause cancers. Constant skin bleaching is a risk factor for skin cancer.
I think the Jamaican skin bleach one is the one that don't cause cancer. I think the Jamaican one. Because, who is it?
I'm not even going to go there with you. You can some Vibes Cartel thing.
Vibes Cartel.
Apparently 30% of the light-skinned dudes in Jamaica have dark knees.
Seriously, that skin bleach, right? The skin bleaching thing has to stop.
One of the worst.
Skin bleaching, tattooing, all these habits that I don't know why. Well, we know why with the skin bleaching, because we were made to feel insufficient. We were made to feel less than human because of dark skin.
Now, the bleaching creams weren't made by black people, obviously, as you know this, you can imagine. It was actually from people in Asia. And the chemical really was started out as for not so much melanomas, but, to remove dark rings around the eyes, because dark rings around the eyes made you look more Eastern, made you look more black or Mediterranean, and they wanted to look paler. But once it cottoned on, people realized, wait, I can use this to lighten my whole skin So the biggest producers of these things are in Asia, in the Far East. Yeah.
And the thing about it is, there are safe ways to spot treat areas,
Right.
Of hyperpigmentation, but the body hyperpigments as a protective measure. So unless it's like a massive scar in an area that's visible, why would you want to stop the hyperpigmentation? That's your body's way of protecting a site that is under reconstruction and essentially being healed. And when you remove your natural sunscreen, your natural melanin, you take a construction site and make it vulnerable to being damaged, being injured again. So unless it's a scar that is just taking 9 months, 2 weeks to fade, let it be. I understand when we get things on the face, men get razor bump scars, women get acne scars, men get acne scars, and you may want to go out and look your best. Men don't wear makeup, so I understand with them. Women, we can kind of powder it up, but there are safer ways to do things that don't increase your cancer risk, that will fade that scar in time. And they're all plant-based. Every last one of them are plant-based. You don't need a synthetic to get the job done. And you don't have to do it long. This is one key they don't explain. When you first get an injury, as long as it's not a puncture injury, and as long as it's not a deep gouging injury, if you treat that injury by keeping it clean and then putting the right plant extract on it, within about a week, you'll notice it's not hyperpigmenting like your regular scar would. It will actually be closer to the regular color of your skin, okay? But just remember, don't be afraid of sunlight. I mean, honestly, most Black people in the northern climes, we get cancer because we don't get enough sunlight.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter whether it's lung, gastric, reproductive cancers, like endometrial hyperplasia that becomes endometrial cancer, prostate. It's a lack of vitamin D.
Vitamin D deficiency.
Really.
Right.
And the thing about it is, to show you how important vitamin D is, I remember when relatives of mine, particularly the men, came to this country, because there was a time when I had more male relatives than female relatives, and we've recognized that shifted once people start living in the West. There was something constitutionally different about the water, the air, the food, the soil here, because if you come from an Afro-Caribbean background, even if in a Spanish-speaking country, and there's a family that has 10 children, usually 7 out of 10 of them were male. When you come to the States and live here for one generation, that completely often flips. But one of the things the men often reported, even if they dated outside of the group, is Black women pick up when your diet is not healthy, because your body odor will change. And I'm mentioning this so that all the men know, sometime if you like a woman and she doesn't like you, it's because your diet is off and it's affecting your melanin. Because believe it or not, melanin is an aphrodisiac. And the more melanin you have, the more sexually attractive you will smell to the opposite sex. So get all the melanin you can, whether you have to eat the raw materials in your food, plants, and get out in that sunlight, which the plants will protect you from burning, and you get more melanin. Just get more, because it also increases your virility as a man and your fertility as a woman. And you don't have to worry about the skin cancers, because we weren't designed for that kind of thing.
Amen.
Exactly.
Amen. Praise the Lord. Jaja, live it. So we're having a godly day today. Thank you, Dr. Keela, for breaking that down. That's deep. Melanin is an aphrodisiac. That explains it all, Dr. Amsu. When we go out and, things happen, It's because one of us is slightly darker than the other. But we're not going to go there.
Taking the Lord name in vain.
Listen, we've only got a few minutes here, but there's a couple of questions I want to see if we can try and get to from email on the YouTube as well. And I'd like to read out one here from Jersey. Now, Jersey Shore Sunshine. Don't know who that is. Hopefully, you may be on the call. If you're on the call, let us know you're on the call. Jersey was told that they have colitis, and what can they do to get their health back on board?
Okay.
And they also have skin moles. Funny enough, segue in Dr. Keeler, they also have skin moles all over their body. And what can you do to get rid of them? So is it related to colitis? I don't know, but let's start with the colitis one, and maybe we can roll back into the
All right.
the moles thing.
So colitis is actually an autoimmune disorder. It's autoimmune.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through what you're eating, what you're putting on your skin, what's in your environment, or a combination of all of those, or of any of those, right? It's also stress related. So again, what are the stresses? What are the triggers? So it's very important that you do make the change in your diet, right? And it could also be vitamin D deficiency as well, playing a major role in that. 90% of us black people in the West, because we are away from the equator. We've strayed too far, y'all, right? We're not getting enough sun. We need sunlight. We need UVB every day to maintain, right? We need certain amount, right? At least 7,000 to 10,000 IUs of vitamin D every day, maybe even higher, especially black women, right? We're not getting it. So when we eat things that we have an intolerance or high sensitivity to, it triggers a pro-inflammatory response. And we don't have the resources to say, all right, calm down, lads, right? So we have these immune cells that are triggered by substances entering our bodies that are not conducive to us, right? In comes the infantry, and the infantry, if they're not regulated, they cause all kinds of damage. Literally a bull in a china shop. Vitamin D takes care of that. Correct hormonal balance takes care of that, right? And we bombard our bodies with toxins that inhibit the resources that facilitate inhibition of pro-inflammatory cells, right? And there's so many of them, right? There's so many. We're talking about TNF alpha, we're talking about interleukins, right? And I think in the case of colitis, we're dealing with interleukin 12 and 23, right? There are so many pro-inflammatory immune cells that are triggered by substances that enter the body and by the overreaction of certain hormones, namely corticosteroids, right? And they cause great issues. So for colitis, we do have, again, you want to detox, right? And we do have a supplement called Digest. We have a supplement called D3. We have a supplement called Immuno. We have a supplement called Lupugen, which is for autoimmune diseases, right? Helps to inhibit those inflammatory cells. But again, lifestyle is key. What you've been doing, the way how you're living, your body is letting you know you're effing up. You got to change it up, right? When we have a disease and a condition that is autoimmune or a chronic inflammatory situation, our body's letting us know you're messing up. You're doing stuff wrong. You're putting the wrong substances into your body. You're living in the wrong environment. You're putting the wrong stuff on your skin, right? And this is how your body is expressing itself, how genes are being expressed in the way of illness, of syndrome, right? And you ain't gonna have colitis on its own. It's not something that's gonna be there on its own. There's other issues that are going on in your body. Colitis is never alone. Misery and that kind of disease loves company.
Yeah. So, no, on that point, because Dr. Amsley's second part of her question is that she's getting these moles, right, showing
Right.
up all over her body. Now, she hasn't shared any pictures. So I Dr. Keela, I was going to bring you in and talk about the moles thing. Is there a correlation between the colitis and the moles? Of course, we haven't seen the moles. Of course, we can't make a diagnosis. This is a brilliant candidate, and we'll email her back and let her to, encourage her to set up a private consultation so she can do the Zoom. With the private consultation, guys, you'll have a Zoom session, and not only can we talk to the conditions, we can see you, literally look into the whites of your eyes, and so our consultants can get a better understanding of exactly what it is we're dealing with. We love information. We can, pontificate based on what we hear in email, but again, to get the best review of what you have, we need to do it sort of in person as best as we can. So, Dr. Keela, is there any correlation between the colitis and the moles turning up all over the body? What are your thoughts without, of course, having, given her a consultation, as it were?
There are a number of conditions that can cause colitis and moles. But if you're focusing primarily on endocrine issues, anytime your blood sugar is elevated chronically, you can end up with chronic inflammation even in your gut. And in the gut, it will be colitis or gastritis. In the stomach, it's gastritis. In the intestines, and especially the large intestine, it will be colitis. But it's not unusual for a person to come in with colitis and a lot of moles if their blood sugar is too high. Now, if it is something more insidious where they also have colitis and polyps and skin issues, skin moles, now you're getting into the realm of oncology, which is the study of cancers. Don't jump there right away. Oftentimes, when you have gut issues, one of the safest and most reliable places to start looking is your endocrine system. And to even backtrack more than that, what are you eating and how much stress are you under? Because if you're under a lot of stress, you're going to have chronically high cortisol. Chronically high cortisol will cause you to have chronically high blood sugar, because cortisol, along with other stress hormones like epinephrine, norepinephrine, glucagon, they all, and growth hormone, they all get elevated in chronic stress. At the same time, all of these hormones change cellular behavior. Think of hormones as buttons on a computer that when you strike a certain button, you pull up a certain memory. Well, that's what hormones do. Cortisol is one that can remind your stress genes to start expressing themselves, to start waking up and becoming actively expressed in the cell, which can change cellular behavior. When you start changing cellular behavior, you can also change how well a cell obeys checkpoints. So when cells stop obeying checkpoints, that's when you start getting abnormal growths. Those are called tumors, okay? When they are just in the site, they're not going anywhere, they're not eroding anything, they're just sitting there and occupying space they should not otherwise occupy. Those are called tumors. When they start multiplying themselves and then eroding their environment and now traveling to other sites, now you have cancer. So there is a link between high blood sugar, getting moles all over the body, having inflammation in the gut, and later on developing cancers. The best way to address it oftentimes is to address your diet. I hate to even say diet. To address your stress level, how you eat, how much sunlight you get. It's amazing that many things in medicine can be fixed for a lot less than most people think they can, but most people don't know it. And it really comes down to, are you in the right environment for your health, which is what Dr. Amsu and Mr. Larty opened this session with. Corporate environments are not healthy environments. They're only healthy for the people that don't have to take the orders. And that includes being in hospital. If hospital were a healthy environment, we wouldn't have so many medical professionals quitting, whether they're doctors, nurses, or therapists. It's a very unhealthy environment, but we're supposed to promote health. It's crazy. But you have to really look at your blood sugar, because your high blood sugar may be contributing to the colitis and the excess moles that are appearing all over.
Indeed. Dr. Keeler, thank you again for breaking it down. So perfect timing, in fact. And a great question, segueing sort of both things there, going from the skin, the moles, colitis, back to the moles. And, you know, I always like to add a little bit from the layman's position I like to consider myself. And Dr. Amsu, you said it quite succinctly earlier on about how it's not necessarily that one condition leads to another. We know that. It's how conditions are indicative of something else going on, right? And it's usually, you know, of course, the toxins and then the stress. And then there's the stress of finding out you got the sickness. So it's sort of a downward spiral, so sort of tornado of issues, right? Which is why, you know, we consider ourselves holistic. I know we don't necessarily always sort of use that word because, you know, there are people that own those terms. When you say holistic, it means, you know, hemp. But the truth of the matter is, you know, we have to look at everything, and the psychology of our health, the psychology of our general well-being, It's all well and good taking, you know, vitamin supplements and all the rest of it, and quote unquote eating clean and, you know, wearing nice clothes and all the rest of it. But our mental well-being, our physical well-being are all intertwined. You can't have one without the other. I don't know how it works. Can you? You know, they sort of go hand in hand. So everyone, you know, man, it's difficult. Well, we're not saying it's easy, but
here's the thing. Our bodies were designed to deal with trauma.
Indeed.
They were designed by nature to deal with trauma. All we need are the right resources to facilitate dealing with the traumas, whether they are physiological or psychological, right? Down to lack of those resources is why we start to exhibit dysfunction. It's that simple. It's that simple. When we have toxins in our body that inhibit the resources doing their job, right? Because remember, toxins entering into our bodies, those are traumas, right? These are, whether they're pathogens or any form of substance, our bodies are supposed to be equipped where without the substance, you know, our cells are protected by the pathways, the mechanical pathways that we have in place, that something's in our bodies that shouldn't be. All right, it's going to do minimal damage, and any damage that it does, we will repair. And when I say we, I'm talking about our cells, tissues, enzymes, you know, lymphatic system, you know, our endothelial pathways, right? Our cells, the integrity of cells, they're designed to deal with trauma. Something comes in, gonna protect the integrity while we pass it out, right? And we have organs, we have vital organs that help to facilitate that. When we now become deficient in the resources that those systems, cells, tissues, and organs require to perform their job, that's when we now start dysfunction. And dysfunction leads to disease. So the equation is pretty simple. We've just complicated it because we want to do stuff outside of how we're supposed to be living.
Of nature, basically.
Outside of nature, right.
Which is God. Amen.
We want to go live in New York. Don't live in New York. Come down here to Georgia.
It's the last thing you want to do. No, we don't hate New York. We love New York too, in short bursts, you know. But we're London guys. We grew up in the city as well. But listen, folks, always a pleasure. Listen, guys, I think everyone on this call, if you've been here for a while, people that have been on this call several times, you know the routine, you know what to do. We really appreciate you having you on. We appreciate your questions. We appreciate you passing this on to friends and loved ones. And please don't be shy. And, you know, we know you like to try and answer questions yourself. And absolutely, if you've learned something, listen, pass it on. But get your friends to join this call so we can deal with them directly or set up a consultation, because, you know, people are funny and they may like you, they may trust you, but when it gets to their health, people can be very protective of their health as well. And they either won't share stuff with you, or even if you tell them, they'll be offended and so on and so forth. Then you push them away even further. Just bring them to us and we'll let Dr. Amsu devour them. And Dr. Keeler can smooth them over with some peanut butter and jelly. So we will look after them. So bring them home. And listen, if you're out there and you need to start your detox now. Don't wait, don't procrastinate on your health, because there will come a day where you may not be able to recover as quickly as you'd like to recover. So we do have a sale on right now. It's the July sale. It's 25% off, which is running through the end of July, I think.
Yeah, all the way through to July 31st / August 1st.
There's 31 days in July now. See, they're changing everything. No one tells me. So up until the end of the month, listen, get your supplements in. Even if you're not ready to start right today, get them in now. Use the sale to get your stuff in, and we'll start. If you're unsure of what to do, when to do it, real cool thing on our website now, there's a little button that says, you don't know where to start, you can take a little quiz. It's like a 2-minute quiz, and you answer the quiz and it will basically spit out what you need, where you need to start on your sort of healing journey as well. So those are tools we put in place. If you push that button up there, I'm going to come over there, I'm going to strangle you and your uncle. So
I just want to thank everybody
when I finish
for their birthday wishes that they sent.
What, was it your birthday?
Yeah, I got quite a lot of birthday wishes. I was, brought a tear to the old eye, mate.
Did you thank me for the cake that I bought you?
Of course I did.
You did not thank me. Did he thank me? He just
gave
ate
you the thumbs up. That's how men do it.
Men do it. I bought this man chocolate on chocolate, double layered chocolate with triple chocolate, all vegan. If you ever come to our office, let me know. We'll get. It's funny, right? We'll get you a chocolate vegan cake. Wow, there's no love in this place. No love, no respect. But listen, guys, we love and respect all of you guys. Remember, July 25 is the discount code for the sale. Go to the website. If you got someone, France, and anyone else has loved ones that they need to bring them to this, you can send them the consultation link. I put it in a share. Have them come to this call. These calls are free. If they don't want to come on here, they can go on the YouTube. The YouTube, there's no interaction. We won't see you. Sometimes you can get on Dr. Amsu's IG live as well. So there's no excuse. If that music gets any louder, I'm going to send you.
There we go.
You see what I have to deal with? And we pay these people. So listen, if you bring them onto these calls, they're free. Get your health solutions. Start your health journey today. Do not wait. Do not procrastinate. Dr. Amsu, am I right? Am I right?
You're right.
Dr. Keeler, am I right? Pamela, am I right? Look, Pamela's over there suffering. She's got the thing hanging out.
Keep your stress down, because stress will kill you slowly.
Absolutely. Stress is #1 killer. Listen, guys, we are sending love to you and everyone. Have a happy weekend. We'll be in Orlando. If you live in Orlando, let us know. Drop us an email. We'll come by. You can make us some vegan cakes or something. Tell us where to go to get great vegan meals in Orlando. We know a couple places. But let us know if you're down in Florida. So until next week, we are hasta mañana.
Peace, everybody. Peace.
Peace out.
Sound bangers.
Do not play that nonsense. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear us. It always makes us really quick.
No one's leaving.
They're having too much fun with me, Ruth. I think it's the music, my jacket. Do you like our new office, Ruth?
Are you serious?
No, we got a penthouse. We got a penthouse.
Yeah, it's a picture behind you.
No, it's real. We got to take the elevator up.
Real.
A picture. Some people. Your sister has no faith in you, Dr. Amsu.
No.
Look out. I'm waving at the naked woman in that building.
No, that's a lie. You know, I know it's a lie. Because we